is the truest measure of readiness found in GPA patterns, rigor scores, counselor narratives, or longitudinal engagement behaviors. What will our next generation of comparators look like? Today we look at the O.R.E report on the disappearing class rank. Raw findings ready to forge.
You are listening to the Innovation Forge, the #1 podcast on adaptive enrollment management, exploring the data, marketing, and strategy that fuels higher education. Here's your host, David Dysart.
In the forge of enrollment, some tools lose their edge. Once, class rank was a sharp measure, quick, clean, comforting in its certainty. But the metal has cooled. Schools are laying that tool aside, and what's left is quieter, harder to shape. Now, we must read the grain differently, trace rigor and context like veins in raw ore. Our work becomes slower, truer, and more human. This is the first entry of O.R.E, Observations on Recruitment and Enrollment. Raw findings ready to forge. Observation. Across the admissions field, a quiet scraping sound echoes through the data. One long-used tool is being set down. Fewer high schools are reporting class rank, leaving admission offices to stare at empty transcript fields where once there was a tidy measure of comparative standing. The once reliable metric is cooling, oxidizing, and in many cases, crumbling away entirely. Reading the signal. Class rank used to serve as a small but potent ingot of order. It was a number that you could strike, weigh, and immediately compare. It offered a quick sense of who was first in the forge fire and who was still tempering. But as schools abandoned rank, they also dismantled the illusion that one uniform metric could meaningfully define performance across wildly varied academic furnaces. In truth, class rank was always a brittle metal. It warped under inconsistent heat. Different grading scales, honors weighting, course access, and just even district philosophies. When superheating competition became a concern, schools began quenching the metric altogether. What's left is a scattered field of transcripts. Some polished with percentile bands, others blank, some with narrative explanations hammered into the school profile like small repair welds. This shift doesn't just affect data. It actually reshapes the rhythm of review. Admissions teams lose a once convenient shortcut, and predictive models lose a feature that often carried disproportionate weight. What takes its place is context. It's the nuance and behavior, which is messier, yes, but it's also truer to the craft. The forge of modern admissions is rediscovering that raw data alone never made the best alloy. Evidence in the O.R.E. As we chip away, several clear veins emerge. District declarations. More districts, especially competitive suburban and magnet systems, have formally retired rank reporting. Some are citing wellness and collaboration. Others seek to prevent minor GPA differences from fracturing student culture altogether. National associations. Counselor surveys through NECAC and ASCA echo this retreat. In recent years, the share of high schools reporting an exact rank has dropped steadily. Application platforms. The Common Application and peer systems confirm rising instances of transcripts with either percentile bands or just NR, or not reported, in the fields. Predictive impact. Enrollment offices that track historical model performances have seen rank-based lift decay as missingness grows. Where once it improved yield accuracy, it now behaves like a stress crack, skewing predictions for certain schools or demographics. Policy narratives. Articles and state-level education releases frame the move as a modernization, trading competition for collaboration. The language has actually shifted from standing to story. These points together show not a sudden break, but a slow cooling process, one that began years ago, and now leaves us working with different metals altogether. Implications for the forge floor. The reader's craft evolves. Without rank, every transcript becomes more artisanal. Readers must rely on grain and temper the actual rigor of the coursework, and the profile's narrative, the grade distributions, the growth patterns. Context becomes the hammer. Discernment becomes the fire. Institutions that still depend on rigid heuristics may find that their tools are slipping, unable to grip the shape of a modern file. 2. Modeling loses a keystone variable. In predictive frameworks, class ranks once served as a convenient pillar. Strong, linear, easy to normalize. But with its collapse, models require realloying. Analysts must now combine smaller, context-rich features, rigor scores, grade trends, and localized normalization. The loss is not catastrophic, but it forces evolution. This is adaptive enrollment management at work. When the material changes, the mold must change with it. 3. Equity and access recast. Many schools retired rank to actually reduce harm, yet inequities still hide in this lag. Some institutions risk disadvantaging students from rank reporting schools if they interpret missing rank as neutral rather than not applicable. Likewise, some predictive systems may overvalue the presence of a rank simply because it exists. Fairness demands recalibration. Equal footing whether the transcript glows with numbers or narrative. Messaging and relationship work. Counselors are now your forward partners in explaining process to families. Clear, empathetic communication about how your institution interprets no rank transcripts builds trust and it diffuses anxiety. If your review rubric truly balances narrative and data, show that. A short explainer or inclusion in counselor newsletters can reassure that fairness remains part of your alloy. 5. The data future. The rank field's demise is a preview of broader transitions towards student-owned transcripts, narrative evaluations, and even AI-assisted reading. Every missing number pushes institutions to invest in better context, data partnerships, metadata about schools. We are learning once again that missing does not mean nothing. It means look closer. Moves to test. 1. Forge a context bundle. Instead of replacing rank with one new variable, create a bundle, a composite measure that merges school profile information, such as average GPA, size, grade distribution, with rigor indicators, AP and IB offerings, honors weighting, dual enrollment access. Score the bundle, not the single line. You'll actually find it more stable across schools and less prone to missing data heat stress. 2. Recast your predictive model. Run dual model fits, one using rank where present, one ignoring it. Compare the lift and fairness metrics. Watch especially for drift by region or income bracket. Treat that rank missingness as a categorical signal. In some cases, the absence of rank carries its own meaning. 3. Retrain the readers. Revisit your evaluation rubric. Add language about how to weigh transcripts without rank. Host a calibration session using sample files. Encourage evaluators to narrate their rationale. Describe why one transcript reads stronger than another. This narrative practice reinforces consistency and prepares staff for a more interpretive review era. 4. Communicate transparency. Publish a concise statement for counselors and families. Class rank is only one of many factors we consider. Students from schools that do not report rank are reviewed with equal care, with attention to course rigor, academic trend, and school context. This clarity actually cools speculation before it hardens into rumor. 5. Monitor and refine. After each cycle, analyze, admit, yield, and scholarship outcomes for students with and without reported rank. Note whether the absence correlates with lower conversion or even unexpected yield variance. If it does, the alloy still needs tempering. Return to that forge. As class rank disappears from transcripts, the field loses a once convenient measurement tool. What we gain instead is a clearer view of how uneven and fragile that metric always was. The work now is to reforge our understanding of academic context using stronger, more adaptable materials. These are the points to carry forward as you shape policy, training, and modeling for the cycles ahead. 5 takeaways that matter. Rank is no longer reliable. That's not a crisis. Its absence forces us to stop leaning on a brittle comparator and start using richer, more context-driven measures of student performance. 2. Missing rank is a signal, not a void. Treating missingness as neutral erases meaning. Patterns in where rank is present or absent can reveal school culture, curriculum structure, and equity considerations. 3. Context bundles are the new standard. Relative rigor, grade trend, school profile information, and the distribution patterns together provide a more stable and fair assessment than a single ordinal metric ever did. 4. Models must be reforged, not patched. The decline of ranks destabilizes predictive accuracy. Running paired models and incorporating missingness as a categorical feature helps restore lift and reduces drift across school types. 5. Transparency earns trust. Families and counselors want to know how the no-rank applications are reviewed. Clear messaging reduces confusion and actually supports your institutional credibility. Class ranks disappearance is not the loss of a tool. It really is a removal of an illusion. What follows is better craft, sharper interpretation, and an actual richer understanding of student performance shaped through heat, care, and context. The material was always more complex than the metric suggested. Now we forge with that truth in hand. And an open question. If class rank once served as our admissions compass, what actually replaces it now? Is the truest measure of readiness found in GPA patterns, rigor scores, counselor narratives, or longitudinal engagement behaviors? What will our next generation of comparators look like when forged in equity rather than efficiency? And a forge note. Every cycle, we rediscover that what seemed like solid metal may have only been slag. Class rank helped us measure students against each other. Its absence actually challenges us to measure systems against themselves. And that's our introductory O.R.E report on the disappearance of class rank. Let me know if you enjoyed this new format of information and some topics you'd like me to explore. I have a bunch, but I would love to know what's actually going to impact your work or what is some nice furniture in your brain. And remember, let's forge something extraordinary together. Source O.R.E. NACAC and ASCA counselor surveys on reporting trends. Common application research briefs on transcript reporting fields. State district memos outlining class rank elimination policies. Predictive modeling field notes from enrollment analytics teams. Coverage from Inside Higher Ed and Education Week on rank reform. See the show notes for links and more details. If you enjoyed today's episode, please grow the guild by rating and reviewing the Innovation Forge podcast or sharing it with a colleague who needs to hear about these creative crossovers in education. The best review or comment every month will get an ebook of my book, of course. Particularly great ones will also be featured on future episodes. Thank you so much for joining me in the workshop today. Remember to strike true, and let's forge something extraordinary together.
There was a number on the page, one sharp enough to guide the hand. A simple line that claimed to say who stood ahead, who barely stood. It carried a weight we never questioned, steel thin but widely used. We struck it fast and moved along, assuming it would always hold. But the metal softened over time, uneven heat, uneven grain. What looked precise from far away bent differently in every flame. When the numbers went quiet, we heard the room instead. The courses taken, the turns they made, the ground they learned to tread. When the numbers went quiet, we had to read the whole, not just where they landed, but how they moved across. across the coal. Some schools stopped carving marks into the surface of the steel. No ladder left to climb or guard, no rank to win or lose. What vanished was not effort, only the shortcut we relied on. The work stayed heavy in our hands, just shaped in other forms. Context speaks in slower ways. It asks for patient sight, to see the arc, the strain, the pull, not just the finish line. When the numbers went quiet, we listened harder still, to rigor, range, and trajectory, to force of will. When the numbers went quiet, the craft came back again, reading grain instead of labels, counting care instead of 10. Some tools serve their season, then rest beside the anvil wall. What matters is not what we lose, but how we answer the call. Absence is not failure, sometimes it is instruction. When the numbers went quiet, we learned a steadier way, to weigh the fire, to trust the hand that shaped the clay. Set the ruler down tonight, let the furnace teach your eye. The work was never in the number, it was always in the why.